So I would suggest that, except for Dan, turn your cameras off. Thanks.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan Goldberger. I'm chairman of the board for the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association. First, a couple of housekeeping items. I'd like to thank our organizer partners, Centennial College and the Accelerator Center, and our sponsors, Enbridge and Accelerator Center. The GEDO 21 event and all awards and presentations will be recorded and later placed on the OCO website for viewing. All attendees will be on mute with only the speakers able to speak. I would like to provide a land acknowledgement at this time. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I now take pride in announcing the Honorable Minister, Todd Smith, as our GEDO 21 keynote speaker. In 2018, he was elected in the New Bay of Quinte riding as part of the Doug Ford government. He has served as government House Leader, Minister of Government and Consumer Services, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and Minister of Children, Community and Social Services, and now serves as our Minister of Energy. I now turn over the podium to the Honorable Minister Todd Smith.
Thanks very much to our chair for getting us through this afternoon's events, and I'm really pleased to be here with you all today. My wife is an elementary school vice principal now, but this is a brand new job for her. She was previously a high school co-op education teacher for the last 5 years, and when I told her I was going to be speaking at the OSEA event today, she thought I meant the Ontario Cooperative Education Association, not the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association, but I'm really pleased to be able to join you here today for your 11th annual Green Energy Doors Open event. And let me start off by offering my congratulations to the winners of the top 10 Cleantech Awards, and they're going to be announced a little bit later on in our proceedings here this afternoon. Our government's really proud to support businesses like today's award winners whose innovative energy solutions are creating a much more competitive business environment and a clean, reliable energy future for our province, for our country, and of course, our globe. And because of your efforts and the work of many across the sector, Ontario is already proud to have an energy grid that's 94% emissions free, which is one of the cleanest in the world. And let me also take this opportunity to acknowledge the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association for all of your advocacy for the development and growth of sustainable businesses and technologies. Our government's committed to creating a world-class electricity system that's clean, that's reliable, affordable, and sustainable for all Ontarians. And since taking office, we've worked to create an electricity system that works better for everyone, from generators to consumers and everyone in between. A system that prioritizes the ratepayer, makes the electricity system independent and reliable, and moves toward market-based procurement of new assets and makes energy policy more predictable. We've taken many steps toward fulfilling that vision, steps that cut red tape, have stabilized costs, drive efficiency, and strengthen trust and transparency in the sector. And I always say our top priorities have been and will be as a government reliability, affordability, sustainability, and also customer or consumer choice. When it comes to reliability, it's important because Ontario families and businesses need to have that certainty that when they flip on a switch, the electricity they need and want is going to be there. Affordability is equally important because affordable electricity is the foundation of our government and our province's path to economic growth and also meeting our climate targets. And that's why we've taken a number of steps to address electricity prices for Ontario families and businesses. During the peak of the latest pandemic, COVID-19, over the last 20 months, we've taken swift and efficient action to provide more than $750 million in financial relief to families and small businesses. And I'd really like to thank local distribution companies for supporting these important measures along the way. In order to provide continued savings, we've introduced the Ontario Electricity Rebate. It's a transparent on-bill rebate for eligible residential, farm, and small business consumers The 17% rebate helps to keep electricity bills stable. It also is automatically applied to the subtotal of the bill. And last November, we introduced customer choice. It allows most regulated pricing plan electricity customers the choice between time of use or tiered pricing. And that means electricity customers now have the choice of how their electricity bill is billed by selecting the rate plan that best suits their lifestyle. And we continue to look for more ways to keep electricity costs stable and affordable. And that brings us to the next leg on the stool, which is sustainability, another key energy priority for our government. And as I referenced earlier, Ontario is really proud to have one of the cleanest electricity systems in the world, and it's our collective responsibility to maintain that legacy for future generations. As I mentioned, approximately 94% of the electricity generated in Ontario is emissions-free, and that's thanks to the system's diverse supply mix. Nuclear power and water power serve as the backbone in the system. Nuclear supplying about 60% of the power used by Ontarians every day, and another 25% is supplied by over 220 hydroelectric facilities, some large, some small, across Ontario. And we also benefit from additional renewable energy capacity from, of course, solar, wind, and bioenergy generation facilities. In fact, in the last month or so, I've been out on the road quite a bit. I've had the opportunity to visit the IGPC biofuel facility near Sarnia, the Stormfisher biofuel facility in London, and also went to the Toronto Zoo with a couple of my friends from Scarborough, Zoo Share biofuel facility, which is right there on the property of the Toronto Zoo. Along with others in the sector, these facilities are leading the way in renewable energy. They're allowing us to become part of the circular economy by helping reduce waste. And I'm really excited about the opportunities that are going to come with increased electrification as well. And that includes the Hydro One and Ontario Power Generation partnership that's created the IV charging network. It's expected to soon become Ontario's largest electric vehicle fast charger network. And the goal of that program, of course, is to support a greener transportation sector in Ontario by encouraging electric vehicle adoption, making it possible to travel longer distances in your EV, in your electric vehicle. OPG also recently announced that it's going to be providing the charging infrastructure for 2 new electric ferries that have recently arrived over in my neck of the woods. I come from the Bay of Quinte region, just a little bit further east in Eastern Ontario to Amherst Island and Wolfe Island. Those electric ferries have arrived. Some other up and coming technologies such as battery storage, flywheel technology, compressed air energy storage, and thermal storage can also provide important support to the grid, and it can generate value for Ontarians. And I'm pleased to see that so many Ontario companies are involved with this world-leading innovation. We're also really excited about our continued work with businesses and other partners on small modular reactors, or SMRs, and hydrogen as well. There's been a lot of discussion about hydrogen in the last 3 or 4 months that I've been in this role. Developing hydrogen as a potential energy source has the potential to drive job creation and economic growth, but more importantly, particularly when talking to a group like this, helping us lower emissions across Ontario and around the world. SMRs, similarly to hydrogen, present innovative solutions for unique energy challenges, such as powering the more remote communities that currently rely on diesel fuel, and they can provide clean, reliable, and cost-effective power, and also contribute to the production of made in Ontario life-saving medical isotopes. And these new technologies and business models are all potential game changers for the energy industry, bringing down costs, enhancing sustainability, and creating new opportunities for customers. So it's a very exciting time when it comes to the sustainability leg of that stool. Consumer choice, as I mentioned earlier, also remains a top energy priority for me and for our government. Disruptive technologies in other sectors are foreshadowing an increasing demand by consumers for more choice and control over where every dollar goes. So in our sector, rate choice and consumption transparency are just the first steps on the path to meeting these expectations. In this regard, we're supporting the implementation of the Green Button standard. I'm sure a lot of people on the line have heard about Green Button. It's going to provide Ontario ratepayers with the energy data that they need to make informed decisions for their families. Green Button lets energy customers easily share their electricity or natural gas usage data with the app that they choose, apps of their choice on their smartphone or computer, and gives them information that they need so that they can actually really take control of their own personal energy use. They can lower their bills and they can reduce demand on the energy system as well. And I look forward to the province-wide implementation of the standard by utilities after that regulation comes into effect in just a couple of days. As a matter of fact, here we are on the 27th of October, and that new regulation comes into effect on November the 1st. Ontario's utilities will have to begin providing green button to their customers within the next 24 months, according to that reg change. So as a government, we're committed to a diverse combination of energy solutions that are providing greater flexibility, greater transparency, and improved reliability for Ontario consumers, while encouraging future growth, competitiveness, and prosperity for our province. Consumers today do understand the value of conservation and energy efficiency, and they're highly aware of the options that are available to them. And as I mentioned, when talking about green button, there's more of an interest than ever in taking control of your own energy consumption. In addition to helping families and businesses reduce their energy bills, conservation supports sustainability by reducing the strain on our electricity system. It helps to delay or avoid the need to build new energy infrastructure. And it also can improve our environment by reducing emissions and air pollutants. And we're also exploring opportunities presented by a more digitized distribution grid in Ontario, which is supporting new efforts with increasing electrification, including electric vehicles and chargers, new net metering projects, behind the meter technologies, and our government's climate goals. Just last month, we announced a new net metering business model by enabling a demonstration project to inform how entire communities can work together to generate renewable energy and lower their own electricity bills. The West 5 development, which is owned by Sifton Homes in London, has been selected as the community net metering demonstration project by our ministry and by our government. And under the business model, a community can generate its own electricity using renewable sources and send power exceeding their needs to the grid for a credit on their electricity bill. These credits can then be shared across participating residents and businesses to reduce electricity costs when using power from the grid. This development first came to my attention when I was the critic for energy way back in the 2015 to 2018 period. And I'm really glad that our government has been able to move on this innovative model. It's going to give customers more options to manage their energy use, and it's going to save them money while building more sustainable communities. So let me close by reaffirming our government's commitment to working with businesses and other partners on innovative energy solutions that create a more competitive business environment, reduce electricity costs, and deliver a clean, sustainable energy future. My office door here at 77 Grenville is always open. I enjoy hearing from people that have the next best idea in the energy sector. And I just want to thank those of you on the line for your contributions to Ontario's energy mission of lower costs, more jobs, and of course, a cleaner grid and a cleaner environment and a cleaner province. So please enjoy the rest of today's events, and thanks for allowing me to be a part of it today.
Thank you very much for that important update, Minister Smith, and good luck in your new portfolio. We very much enjoyed having you today with us. At this time, I'd like to briefly introduce our organizational partner, Jordan Wozniak. Jordan is the Manager of Research and Innovation Engagement at Centennial College in Toronto, where his responsibilities include developing research partnerships, both with the private and the public sector, partners in renewable energy and related areas, coordinating faculty-driven research programs, and facilitating research opportunities for students. I turn it over to Jordan.
Thank you very much, Dan, for the kind introduction, and welcome everybody to Green Energy Doors Open. It's a great pleasure for us at Centennial to be co-hosting this event this year. I think in an ideal world, it would have been great for us all to be in person together and actually visiting facilities, but given the circumstances, it's still great to have this network together today. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to speak to you a little bit about what it is that we do at Centennial College, specifically in our Applied Research Department and our Green Energy Research portfolio. There we go. Oops, went too far. So Centennial College, for those of you who are not aware of us, we are one of many community colleges in the Greater Toronto area, but we were actually the first to be established in Ontario in 1966, just before Canada's centennial year, hence the name Centennial College. We now have 5 campuses, 3 in Scarborough, one in East York and one in North York in the Downsview area at the site of the former Downsview Air Force Base. We have over 25,000 students, so we are not a small institution. We have a lot of students studying a lot of different subjects, everywhere from community health studies to business, transportation, and engineering, technology, and applied science. Importantly, within that engineering, technology, and applied science school, we have a number of energy-related programs, including electrical technology, electronics, and energy systems engineering technology. And in that latter program, there are a lot of students, over 250, who are working on topics of interest to this community regarding energy efficiency, household, residential, and commercial heating, cooling, energy supply, green energy, and things like that. Centennial has been involved with applied research for about 20 years. The applied research activity that takes place at the college is managed by our office, ARES, and specifically we work with industry and community partners on our research projects. So in contrast to the university world, the mandate for colleges really is to engage our partners and work on their addressing their R&D needs and addressing their community development needs. The areas that we focus on include health technology, where we have a very large technology access center for health technology. We have aerospace working on landing gear. We've got an advanced manufacturing research activity, social innovation research activity that started fairly recently, but already has many community partners and many projects underway, and our green energy project, which I'll be telling you about very shortly. We were fortunate in 2020 to receive over $4 million in government grants for partnered research. So green energy research at Centennial started about 15 years ago with our Centennial Energy Institute, which came out of our School of Engineering Technology. And based on the success of that program, we applied for and received funding from NSERC, the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, for a partner-driven program in green energy. And in this picture, you can see on the right is Kirsty Duncan, Minister Kirsty Duncan, who was then the Minister of Science at the federal level, speaking with Professor Michal Pleshka and Professor Arun Hoare from our ESET program on a heat recovery device when she was paying a visit to Centennial a number of years back. So our projects that take place under this portfolio, which has this very long title at the top, I'm not going to read, but the projects are jointly planned by Centennial and our partners and are executed by Centennial faculty and students. So the partners play an integral role in conceiving these projects and planning them out, scoping them out, and then they're executed on the Centennial side with close collaboration from our partners. The funding comes from a mixture of partner contributions plus funds from our grants. What we're specifically looking for are projects, partners that we can work with to develop and validate technologies everywhere in the area of green energy and associated fields. So things like energy optimization, usage reduction, energy storage, off-grid, all that kind of stuff. Partners who work with Centennial are able to get access to our infrastructure and our expertise in all these areas. Because we've been doing work in this area for so many years, we have quite a bit of infrastructure, including solar photovoltaic. We have a large solar PV electric car charging station at our Progress campus. We've got demonstration solar PV outlets. We have solar thermal, geothermal, HVAC, facilities to work on HVAC and EV charging, all kinds of stuff like that. Our faculty have expertise in this area, and importantly, our students do too, because many of them come to Centennial with experience in these fields already. So you can gain access to those bits of expertise and infrastructure as well. Partners retain ownership of the intellectual property that's generated in these projects. So this is another thing that's unique to the college world, is that we're not interested in commercializing your technology, but we're rather interested in helping you commercialize your technology or helping to develop it and push it to the next level. New projects are always welcome. And if you're interested in finding out more or speaking to me about anything that we do at Centennial, either in this portfolio or other portfolios, then please reach out. I'll put my contact information in the chat shortly, but this is my email address and my phone number, or you can visit our website, centennialcollege.ca/ARES, for more information about what it is that we do. And with that, I would like to thank you very much for attending Green Energy Doors Open today, and hope that you enjoy the rest of today's webinar.
Thank you, Jordan. That was very informative. Really appreciated that update on Centennial's activities. I'd now like to introduce Leanne Armstrong, our other partner, who will share a few words on the Accelerator Center. Leanne Armstrong is the Director of Programs and Client Experience at the Accelerator Center, leveraging her degree in environmental governance and graduate certificate in sustainable business management. Leanne develops programming that supports startups working on initiatives that contribute to the achievement of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals through the TD Sustainable Finance Program. I'll turn it over to you, Leanne.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me here today. I'm really looking forward to learning a little bit more about everyone who's here today and kind of talking a bit more about what we're doing at the Accelerator Center, specifically for clean tech entrepreneurs and sustainability startups. Am I able to go to the next slide here? Oh, there we go. I can. Perfect. Okay, so here at the Accelerator Center, we really focus with entrepreneurs at the center. So a lot of our focus is around creating the different enablers that entrepreneurs need in order to be able to be successful in creating a sustainable and scalable business model. So we focus on these 5 main pillars: job creation, so making connections to the local universities and colleges and how we can create jobs that leverage the skill sets coming out of those academic institutions. Funding opportunities, so we're always looking for ways to connect our entrepreneurs and our startups with whether it's investment or government funding opportunities. Research and development is a huge focus for us, so we're really well connected with the University of Waterloo and like to leverage their resources to support our startups with their research and development. One of our main focuses here is mentorship, so providing that one-on-one connection and support with industry experts and other entrepreneurs who can really help make an impact for the startups. And then access to international markets is a bit of a new pillar for us that we're really starting to focus on. So how can we help leverage the other international markets and make sure that our startups and our entrepreneurs have connections in those international markets to be globally successful, as opposed to just having success within Canada. And when we look at the success of startups in a 5-year survival rate, so a 5-year survival rate means that 5 years post inception of the startup, how many are still successful? So companies who haven't had any support or any incubation, any acceleration, generally have about a 44% survival rate after 5 years of starting their business. Globally, the 5-year survival rate average for startups that receive some form of acceleration or incubation support is about 59%. And at the Accelerator Center, companies who go through our 2-year acceleration program have about a 96% success rate. We've had approximately 75 companies complete this program, all focusing on different areas of the UN sustainability goals. 96% of them are still successful or have had a successful exit. And then when we look at sustainability and how we can support sustainability entrepreneurs, there's some different opportunities that we offer specifically to folks who are looking at one of the 17 UN sustainability goals. So for our clean tech entrepreneurs, we do have a relationship with Sustainable Development Technology Canada, and we're able to be one of the accelerators that actually nominates clean tech companies into SDTC's seed funding program. Folks who work with us get about 5 to 7 hours of one-on-one mentorship with industry-specific mentors. We have premium office space here in Waterloo at our TD Sustainable Future Lab, or we offer fully virtual program as well. And we do our best to make connections to investment and corporate partnerships as much as possible. And that's everything we have here at the AC. So once again, thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to being part of this.
Thank you so much, Leanne. That was excellent. It was a terrific update on all the activities that go on at the Accelerator Center. At this time, I would like to introduce another colleague, Tim Doyle from Centennial, who's the coordinator of journalism programs at Centennial College, including the school's innovative postgraduate program in contemporary journalism that was introduced in 2018. Previously, Tim has worked for more than 20 years in print journalism, then moving over to digital in 1999 as founding executive producer of hockey website faceoff.com, and then later with CanWest and Postmedia, and now heads the postgraduate programs in the school's joint program with the University of Toronto. So I'll turn it over to you, Tim. Good luck.
Thank you, Dan. It's good to be here and welcome everyone to our Green Energy Doors Open panel today. It's my pleasure to introduce 4 esteemed guests who you'll hear from over the next 30 minutes. We're going to talk about all sorts of aspects of the green technology industry today. Because of time restrictions, we have 30 minutes. We're going to move swiftly from introductions and opening comments through some key questions and ending ideally with some rapid fire final thoughts. Not every panelist will weigh in on each question, but their final remarks will give them an opportunity to touch on anything that they want us to know about, but they haven't got to yet. Apologies in advance. We may not have time for questions, but we can promise a very enlightening conversation here. So if we're ready, the panelists are here. Gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you really just by name and by your institution, and then let you provide some more details in your responses to our first question. So our panelists, Murat Basserer from TD Bank, Scott Dodd from Enbridge, Daniel Carr from Electra, and Travis Lesney from Power Advisory. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today, for being here. Okay, so the first question, from your individual perspectives and in your specific areas, what are you seeing as some key activities and developments in Ontario's clean tech energy industry today? Let's start with Daniel, and please, the fuller introduction to yourself and then your response.
Sure. Thanks very much, Tim. Really glad to be with you today. My name is Daniel Carr. I'm the head of smart cities at Electra Utilities, and we serve approximately 1 million customers around the GTA, going from the north to the west of the city. And so my background is in the energy industry. I previously worked at the IESO before coming to Electra Utilities. And my focus within the Great Center is on e-mobility. And the Great Center, or Green Energy and Technology Center for the long version, is our incubation center where we look at new business models and new technologies and try to understand how they will affect the utility and our affiliate companies. And so through my work, I have been focused on, first off, developing pilot projects that have been going on for a number of years now and doing research and market intelligence so that we have an understanding of sort of how these technologies work and how they affect the future of the business. But then also leading to commercial deployment both within the utility and also with our unregulated affiliate. And so, as you can tell, my focus is on the e-mobility side. So that's where I'd like to focus my comments on today. I think the key message I'd like to highlight is just the fact that the combination of the increase in adoption by customers and the increasing capability of the technology is really leading to like a synergistic growth that's helping this industry move along. And that's leading to economic development opportunities as well as environmental benefits. And so just to kind of pick out a few highlights, what I'm referring to there in terms of the adoption, I'm sure people are aware of, electric vehicles being more of a thing, but just to give a highlight, at the end of 2019, there were about 40,000 electric vehicles in Ontario. As of today, there's probably closer to 70,000. And that's during a global pandemic that we've seen growth like that. And it's not just personal vehicles, but it's also buses, fleet vehicles, all sorts of things. People may have heard about Amazon ordering 100,000 electric delivery trucks. Lion Electric is going to be serving 2,500 delivery trucks in Canada by 2025. We've got transit systems like the TTC adding now hundreds of electric buses to their fleet. So lots of development there. Hertz adding 100,000 Teslas to their fleet. So just the broad swath of like technology is there now, adoption is happening, and so we need to be ready for that. And I think just on the energy side, Ontario's got a very clean electricity system. 95% of the electricity is almost emissions free, and so there's real GHG reduction benefit there, and as well as just the economic development from things like hardware suppliers, software suppliers, the services that go along with that. There's just so much new work that needs to get done. And so there's a lot of activity going on.
Great, thanks, Daniel. Let's move on to Travis.
Great, thank you, Tim. And thanks everyone for having me. So Travis Lesney, Manager of Power System Procurements with Power Advisory. We're a management consulting firm, operate across Canada, throughout the US. In a past life, I was a transmission system planner for Ontario. So I've been following the clean tech sector for over a decade. I think when it comes to kind of one of the key activities in development, I mean, definitely off the top is continued price digression on energy storage resources, advancements in technologies and their capabilities. But I think where this really flows into for large and small customers is, for the first time in a long time, a real choice on when and where and how they use grid electricity versus their own stored electricity or other opportunities. And that expansion of both their participation when they don't have flexibility in their demand, but can actually manage costs, is really driving opportunities or capture preferences in terms of what type of emissions intensity they want in terms of their energy consumption. And when you go further on that, in Ontario, it's starting to kind of evolve in terms of participation model, both in wholesale markets and with respect to utilities and retail markets, on how these clean technologies can provide not just real-time energy services, but starting to reach into other services, whether it's peaking capacity or ancillary services. So you're really starting to see advancing not just on an economic basis, but on a technology capability and a comfort basis. So very exciting times.
Thank you, Travis. Murat, let's hear from you.
Great. First of all, good afternoon, and thanks, Dan and Tim, for the invitation. Great event. Within TD, my focus is on sustainable finance. I work with different lines of business to ideate, structure, and launch ESG initiatives and sustainable finance products. Maybe I'll give the view of the financier. First of all, it's been amazing to see most of our clients think about ESG and look for ways to bring their business models to a lower carbon state. And in order to do that, they would need to consider clean technology, whether it's energy efficiency to reduce demand, or look for ways to introduce more green generation through renewable energy. And interestingly, some of our clients are clean technology companies. So it's been good to see them grow, and we look for ways to kind of connect the dots to help spur the growth at the economy as a wide. And the way that we see this is an opportunity for Canada. I also sit on the Research Advisory Board of Institute of Sustainable Finance, and one of their reports has an estimate that it's going to take 200 billion Canadian dollars to achieve our reduction targets for 2030 emissions. And in the report, there's that breakdown by sector of the allocation of capital that's required. And that capital is likely going towards clean technology. So that's great. And maybe as a final comment, something I'll touch on a bit later, that's going to be a key driver to help with Ontario's clean technology is the continued setting of net zero targets by various entities. So I'll touch on that a bit later during the call.
Thank you, Murat. Over to Scott for the final word on the first question.
Scott Dodd, I'm the Director of Business Development for Enbridge Gas. We deliver natural gas to 3.8 million customers in Ontario. Approximately 75% of all homes are served by our gas. So for us, we've seen a huge uptick in green technologies, people coming to us with ideas, and they focus on anything from energy reduction, efficiency technologies, so doing more with less, all the way up to hydrogen, which is, the next generation in terms of gaseous fuels and how we can move that forward. So we're excited to see a lot of these things move forward. I think we're good at the first step, getting a product. And I think our challenge will be as we go forward to figure out how to grow that in a quick manner in order to meet our climate change obligations and goals. So that's the opportunity.
Thank you, Scott. Very succinct. So we'll jump right back to you again then. So what are some of the success stories that the public needs to know about and probably doesn't?
Yeah, I think October 1st, we started actually blending hydrogen into our natural gas system in a pilot area around Markham, Ontario, 3,600 homes. It was approved by the Ontario Energy Board last year, and we're excited to be doing that. So it is the start of the connection of hydrogen, which is produced using electricity for green, and the natural gas grid, which can store that hydrogen and use it as its decarbonization methodology or its source, and also move things forward. So we think it's a great opportunity. We'll be coming out with that more in the future, but we're just happy that it started up and everything's going fine so far. So I think that's a really, from our perspective, it's a big move in the hydrogen field. It is the first blending at a utility scale in North America. So we're quite proud of that.
Very good. Thank you. And Daniel, you touched a little bit on vehicle adoption already in mass transit, but anything else you can tell us about that? Some success stories?
Sure thing. Yeah, I think there's another area that I think is really accelerating very quickly. The federal government has a goal of having 5,000 electric buses on the road by 2025, which is less than 5 years away now to actually get those things in place, starting from a small handful that were present in 2020. And so that's a huge target, going from 0 to 5,000 like that. But at the same time, we've seen a lot of activity just the past few months demonstrating that there is movement here. So we started out ourselves supporting Brampton Transit with their first bus electrification projects a couple of years ago, just with a small handful as part of a pilot 4 and then 8 buses. And then since then it's grown. TTC ordered 60 buses and then made another order for 300. OC Transpo's got an order for about 100, I think, next year, and then coming up with a couple hundred more later. They're planning to transition 100% to electric in the 2030s. So just, it comes out one at a time, but added together, you just see that there's a huge movement here. And it's not just the fact that you've got to buy a bus, because buying a bus is kind of the easy thing. You get some money, you go to the bus manufacturer, you say, I'll buy one. There you go. But to actually transition your fleet, your bus facility needs to be updated. Your transit operators need to be trained. Your maintenance procedures need to be updated. There's a whole stream of things that need to happen. So you're highlighting the impact of 2030. This is a multi-year process that needs to be done, but it is starting now, and I think that needs to be celebrated.
That's terrific. So thanks for the sharing those success stories, gentlemen. Now we know that success doesn't come without considerable effort and persistence. So what is your organization doing to overcome institutional and other barriers to sustainable energy growth in Ontario? How about you, Travis?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. I think, one of the real issues as you try and head towards a net zero objective is recognizing that you can't move there in the step function, that there has to be an evolution. I think the recent report from the IESO related to the phase out of gas is a really good trigger point to kind of recognize that electricity system is very much 3 pillars. It needs to be cost effective, needs to be reliable, and the third pillar that's really been pushed is it needs to be clean. But getting there is going to take a lot of evolutionary basis. And the ISO, and does not use this word lightly, kind of warned, if we don't have our gas-fired generation by 2030, there's risk of blackouts because of the unique attributes of operability and flexibility it provides. What is missing, and what our firm has been doing a lot of analysis on and published a very similar report in April prior to the ISO, that yes, gas is a valuable resource, but its appropriate cost is not being reflected through to market prices and to the amount of emissions intensity it's providing. So I think at a core point, you really need to look at, the carbon pricing and threshold regulation that's there, and how do you start to adjust that so that when you are running gas on the margin, it's an accurate reflection of its value, and it gives clean tech companies and technologies something to actually chase after and actually be properly compensated when they are able to displace gas in key aspects, and therefore kind of providing a proper balance between cost effectiveness, reliability, and clean energy. And this also then provides a path for enabling dispatchable loads, whether it's technologies within homes and businesses or large organizations that may be looking at energy centers and ways to reduce their own carbon intensity, but capture additional values. I think the last area where we've done a lot of work, and we've been a technology or a technical consultant for OSEA for over the past year or so, is in the regulatory policy space. And how do our regulated assets evolve and continue to meet both their shareholder objectives, but also the regulated ratepayers' objectives in terms of changing the systems to be lower intensity and supporting, appropriate and prudent planning processes to support that transition. And that it's, again, not something that's going to happen quickly, and it's something that's going to need technology advancement. So how do you support in that regulatory policy arena, either changing the objectives of how you use those rate-regulated assets, or providing appropriate compensation to those utilities when they do adopt new technologies or new planning approaches. And I think that's something that from a barriers point of view is really difficult. Whether you look at it as non-wires alternatives or non-pipeline alternatives, the utility in and of itself needs to be compensated for pursuing a more cost-effective, lower carbon emission plan. If they're not, there's going to be a natural barrier, and that's a real difficult policy discussion that I think in Ontario we're just starting to peel back the layers on.
Great, thank you, Travis. Scott, what about overcoming barriers?
Yeah, it reminds me of that line. It takes you like 5 years to become an overnight success. I think, it's persistence among our team. I mean, I deal a lot with my team who does a great job of working with these things, but these projects don't happen in 30 days. Our hydrogen project started in 2015 with an idea and then came to production facility in 2018 and now blending in 2021. So you have to be persistent with the regulator. You have to understand what you can and can't do and work with the regulator to move the goalposts when you need to do what you need to do in order to get these things in. So for us, it's really about persistence, moving things forward. And, as Travis said, we've got over $12 billion in assets invested in Ontario. They've provided service for over 170 years, and we've had to reinvent ourselves a couple times during this period, and we will continue to do that. But let's leverage those assets and make sure that we can get the best of them as we move forward to a decarbonized future. And I think that's where the challenge and the opportunity lies, is how do we do that effectively?
Right, and I guess, how do you all do things effectively? By working together. Surely collaboration is a big part of the success you've all seen. How is that collaboration working, Murat?
Yeah, so apart from thinking what as TD we can do, we're always thinking from a collaboration point of view, how do we solve the big problems? And maybe it's worth highlighting the announcements that I think most of you know that happened roughly a week ago, where Canada's big 6 banks together announced that they will join the Global Net Zero Banking Alliance, NZBA in short. Truly a milestone moment. In short, the alliance commits signatory banks to aligning their lending and investment portfolios with net zero emissions by 2050. Now, some of these banks have already come out with net zero 2050 statements. But what this alliance also requires the banks to set intermediate reduction targets for 2030. How are these going to be achieved? Well, it's going to be guided by what we call decarbonization pathways for specific sectors, and we're working on developing these. So our view is going to be helping clients develop and implement their own transition plans. And if we think all of the major banks will have to be doing this, this has the potential to make a significant positive impact for the economy as a whole.
Very good, thank you. Travis, from your perspective. Oh, you're on mute, Travis.
I realize I was doing that. I think in terms of collaboration, yeah, I think from a collaboration base, I mean, one thing that our firm doing, we lead a consortium of renewable and energy storage companies in Ontario that are participating in the ISO's market renewal program and other market design activities, whether it's resource adequacy and the like. And really just trying to bring to the front, as I mentioned before, how do these clean technologies participate in markets, and how should markets evolve to ensure that you're capturing all of these different attributes that you can bring to the market? And in many cases, there's a uniqueness to Ontario's structure. Almost all of our electricity supply is either contracted or rate regulated. While that can be a hamper in terms of some of the market dynamics you see south of the border, it also leaves an excellent opportunity. Many of the costs are locked in, and the dynamics of market pricing can be used to lower emissions without driving up costs, something that you're seeing as an issue within the NISO and ISO market. And that's what our firm through this consortium are really trying to push forward in terms of, ensuring that the system operators and other linked kind of regulatory oversights continue to evolve and kind of recognize how these attributes. We completed and continue to update an energy storage valuation study for Energy Storage Canada in terms of recognizing, storage is a very new resource. It's unique. It's recognized both by FERC in the US and Alberta and Ontario as a resource that isn't a load and isn't a generator. It's something in between. How do you maximize that, especially in a supply mix like Ontario that has a significant amount of base load generation, that if you have excess of it, how do you capture that and use it during peak times? And then the final one is I sit on an advisory group for the regional planning process at the OEB. And I think that's where it's probably one of the most very wonkish and nerd exciting discussion, but really understanding, well, how do we do planning in the future where it reflects customer preferences for more clean technology, but how is that actually integrated within the kind of prudency and cost effectiveness oversight that the regulator has in these build outs? And how do you coordinate, again, back to utilities, customer groups, stakeholder interveners to ensure that you're picking the most cost effective and viable solution, not just for the near term power system need that you're dealing with, but longer term to reflect, inherent uncertainties of the future in a world that is rapidly changing and becoming more complex.
Thanks, Travis. Let's follow up on that on the longer term view. We're nearing the end of our panel. We got about 9.5 minutes left, but we're also nearing the end of, we can look ahead to a decade from now. How about looking ahead to 2031? What's your outlook for clean technology in Ontario? Looking ahead that far, Murat, why don't you start us off?
I like the year you chose, Tim, by the way, because that's exactly the time frame for the interim targets that would need to be met by the organization. So I'm envisioning by that time that clean technology in Ontario has grown because all of these clients in various sectors have taken up more of these solutions. So that's kind of the vision that I have. And I think it's important that engagement between, mainly financiers and the clients continue to happen. So it's a bit of a journey. Some of them are more developed in their strategy. Some of them are a bit early on. Regardless, it's about helping them move towards meeting their targets.
Terrific. Thank you. Daniel.
Hi, so I'd like to focus, I guess, on both the sort of the supply and the demand side here. So on the sort of demand side, the usage of e-mobility by 2031, I'm expecting that this is going to be basically a mature technology that's integrated seamlessly into the electricity system. That while not all vehicles will be electrified, that a large fraction of them will be, and that basically the fossil fuel vehicles are going to be sort of heading down, down in quantity. Now, what does that mean in terms of this as an input on our society? I think it means that we'll have not only just integrated the energy system and the transportation system, but also like other smart cities initiatives are going to be enabled because we now have, easier access to autonomous vehicles because they'll be electrified, which makes it a lot easier for vehicles to be autonomous when they're electrified. That you can have a resilient energy and transportation system in that they can be linked, and you can use the storage represented by those vehicles within the electricity system as a vehicle to grid. And so basically enabling your system to be smarter and more cost effective by virtue of having that integration there. And then on the supply side, I really feel like there's a big opportunity for Ontario to grow its economy. First, by being sort of a global center of excellence in terms of like the software side, the services that are more easily exported. Just, as I was mentioning, smart cities and autonomous vehicles and all those sorts of things. We've already got investments in those areas by major players like GM a couple of years ago, making that announcement about the facility opening up in Markham. But there's just so many more opportunities like that are going to grow. And I think we've got a great opportunity in Ontario to grow that and be a global player, as we have been in the automotive sector for a long time. And on the manufacturing side, we don't have any domestic battery manufacturing right now, but that's hopefully going to change. There's a new alliance called Accelerate that's intending to bring battery manufacturing to Canada. We have a lot of natural resources. We have a lot of experience developing natural resources. We are big players in the automotive sector, so there's no real reason why we shouldn't be big players in producing the batteries that are going to go into all these vehicles. And so those are the two things I see for our future.
Good, thanks, Daniel. Scott, how about in your crystal ball, 2031?
Yeah, I think we'll see a large volume of different type of energy production mechanisms, sources, efficiency. So it's not going to be one size fits all. You're going to see a very heterogeneous market in terms of supply and demand. So that's going to provide a lot of opportunity for small tech companies to find a niche and grow and And I think actually in 2031, we'll be talking about technologies that are probably not even identified today as being, great opportunities in the future. And I also think, by 2031, we'll have moved through the hydrogen learning curve. And I think the 2030s, you'll start to see the large scale implementation of hydrogen as a gaseous fuel in the future. So I think there's a great opportunity in the future for all of us.
Thank you. Travis, your word.
Yeah, I think when you look out to 2031, I think we're going to see a lot of uptake for clean technologies. We've kind of touched on this. I mean, there's a lot of pent up demand, not just from government policy, but the big new player at the thing is corporate ESG interests and their desire to not just have lower carbon emissions for their energy needs, but being able to have measured and verified results, and therefore having some sort of tie to whether it's a power purchase agreement or some sort of clear purchase of environmental attributes. I think evolving, and Scott touched on, I think there's a lot of new technologies being brought to the market. We're seeing more and more firms kind of expand their service and looking at it from an energy as a service approach, trying to not just capture the delivery of renewable energy, but how can we help manage their overall objectives for ESG, whether it's integrating, charging and operations from a fleet services for EVs, or managing whole building systems and envelopes. I think all of that kind of really starts to expand a very growing and rapid space and gives a lot of runway for both existing and new technologies to grow. And I think the last one, if we are to believe that the federal government is going to go through with their $170 a ton or some sort of thing, that that's going to be a major driver for decision making on the investment side for both near-term and long-term assets. And I think when you start getting out to 2030, and if you have even a carbon price at $100 or $170, the economics on the wholesale market side really do change. With respect to the electricity sector, and I think customers within how they are designing their services and facilities also adjust, and that really starts to pivot a significant amount of investment funds into clean technologies. And so will be very interesting to see as we get there, but we think that the race is really just getting going right now.
Thank you. Gentlemen, it's been terrific. Lots of insight there and information, very positive outlook. So now we've got about 2.5 minutes left. So time for this a rapid fire final round. 30 seconds, perhaps from each of you, on something we don't know that we should know, something you can tell us now that we haven't covered. A final thought. Let's start with Scott.
I think, you'll see a decarbonization of gas networks through renewable natural gas and hydrogen. And I think they will continue to play a role in the future as a major provider of fuel.
Thank you. Murat.
I'm going to focus on knowledge sharing and collaboration. Like, what do we have to do with our clients and our partners for education piece so they are walking together side by side with us?
Thank you. Travis.
I think when you look at the macro view, I think it's very clear some of the end states that we're going to get to. The path to go there is not clear, and it's really, you can see peak to peak what you're going through in the valley is not necessarily a straight path, and there's going to be a lot of winding roads that way. I think the key thing to remember is the ultimate objective is net zero. It's not remove all carbon emission emitting, is to ensure that you're net. And to Scott's point, and I very much agree, I think you're going to see a lot of repositioning of gas-fired assets to use lower or no carbon emission based fuels, and to be able to maintain that 99.9999% reliability the electricity system and other energy systems have. And I think there's a lot of innovative technologies being brought forward to get there. That's going to be very interesting as you kind of try and meet, again, that net zero objective.
Very good. Thanks, Travis. Daniel, over to you.
Sure. I wanted to highlight something I think we've all referred to in our presentations, but maybe didn't call it expressly, which is the role that politics, policy, regulation have on this sector. These targets have been set by government. They won't be able to be achieved without government sort of keeping things moving along. We had, the new government got, the new cabinet got sworn in yesterday. We had Minister Smith on here earlier. There's obviously a lot of engagement with this sector. And I think government can be a barrier, but it can also be a really big supporter. And so the challenge will be to make sure that it's helping to be a supporter and a leader rather than a barrier.
Thank you. And thank all of you. I can't believe it. It's 30 minutes right now. So you guys are good and you're succinct. I appreciate your time, your insight, and your attention to this important subject. And thank you. Over to you. Back to you, Dan Goldberger.
Thanks, Tim. Again, everybody, much appreciate all of your expertise. You can see why this panel was chosen for their specific knowledge in this area. This brings to an end our first part of the webinar. And I would now like to introduce a colleague of mine, Mary Tsai, who is in charge of the Savings by Design commercial program for Enbridge. And in addition, Mary plays a major role as a stakeholder bridge to many other associations in Ontario, including her position as a board member at OSEA. She's also has been involved in the Sustainable Buildings Canada, the Build Association, Women in Construction, and so on. And Mary's just an exceptional person overall. And I'm going to turn it over to her to introduce our Best in Class award winners for GEDO. So with that, I turn it over to you, Mary.
Great, thank you, Dan. Good afternoon, everyone. So Dan, now I guess I owe you a coffee for that lovely introduction. So I'm pleased to welcome to GEDO, the Best in Class Awards. OSEA has reviewed numerous submissions for GEDO, Best in Class Clean Technologies for this year. So for those companies that sent in an entry, thank you for that effort. We are looking for technologies that are being deployed already, if possible, that reduce carbon significantly, promote a circular economy, as well as technologies that seem to be highly disruptive and can be positively impact other sectors in our built economy. So if you take a note, each presenter will have about 5 minutes and we'll follow the following sequence. So I will go through the sectors and the name of the presenters and the company they work for. So number one, the carbon-free class is Hydrotech, and who will be speaking is Daniel Westerbaum. Number two is carbon capture and storage, which is the Nurture Growth Fertilizer, which will be Lee Lung and Ken Nugent. Number three, energy efficiency, Pulse Industrial, Brian Fedorak and Thomas Yulebrook. Number four, energy storage class, Magnetite, which is David Katz. Number six, renewable energy, Jazz Solar, Ketan Bala. Number seven, smart buildings, Z3 Controls, Michael Zambrikis. Number eight, sustainable finance, which is VCIB, Jonathan Grant. Number nine, transportation, which is IRIS, and that will be Emil Sylvester Ramos. And number 10, waste to energy, which is TradeWorks Environmental, and that's Manny Mancini. So without any further ado, I'll send it over to the first one, which is Daniel Westerbaum, Hydrotech. Thank you.
Welcome to Hydrotech's entry for the Green Energy Doors Open event. We are excited to share with you our work in developing carbon-free technology for the shipping industry. But first, allow us to introduce ourselves. Hydrotech is a small medium enterprise headquartered in Sault Ste. Marie, specializing in hydroelectric bearing designs. We already complete oil to water bearing conversions for the hydroelectric industry and are now expanding our expertise into the merchant fleet. We are currently developing water lubricated stern tube bearings for the marine industry that will replace synthetic and oil lubricated bearings located at the propeller of the ship. Current designs are subject to leakage of oil into waterways. Hydrotech is working to eliminate this hazard. By engineering bearing designs and testing material performance, we are increasing design knowledge in wood bearing material from the lignum vitae tree. This wood was often used in older bearings, but was replaced with man-made material when this tree became harder to obtain. With today's knowledge of forest management, the lignum vitae tree is now being harvested responsibly, making this material available again for engineering applications. We have proven the concept of water-lubricated lignum vitae bearings in the hydroelectric industry and are working to scale up our bearings and manufacturing for use in the marine industry. Hydrotech is leveraging the positive impacts of lignum vitae wood. Having a low coefficient of friction and being free of any petroleum products is what makes it a revolutionary natural material. Furthermore, it has been certified for potable water use by the National Sanitation Foundation, NSF International. So there is no chance for pollution to waterways from any wear particles of the wood. As water provides the lubrication, there is no possible petroleum contamination to the waterways. We have removed waste by eliminating the source. We have made a large investment in bearing material testing equipment and constructed a bearing test bench capable of testing bearing materials to industry standard tests for endurance, wear, and friction. With Hydrotech's bearing design software and test results, lignum vitae is demonstrating high longevity against other industry standard materials. Hydrotech's objective is to remove the need for oil lubricated bearings in our waterways. We will do this by developing a water-lubricated stern tube bearing that uses lignum vitae. Our target for this bearing is to increase bearing life by a minimum of 50% and increase bearing efficiency by 5%. This is going to reduce both fuel consumption and emissions. To achieve this, we have partnered with Movena, a respected Korean maritime engineering firm, in an international collaboration to develop and test a working prototype by 2024. The positive impact of this project is potentially unlimited. Shipbuilders around the world can implement lignum vitae bearings, helping to protect our lakes and oceans and saving up to 47 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually, improving and enhancing the existing environment. Thank you for the opportunity to share our work developing environmentally friendly stern tube bearings. We are honored to be considered for this award by the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association and humbled to be chosen out of so many candidates within Ontario's large and diverse clean technology leaders. If you have questions, would like to know more about Hydrotech, or want to learn about other lignum vitae applications, please visit Hydrotech on the web or email us at info@hydrotech-inc.ca. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Leela Wong, and I'm the co-CEO of Nurture Growth Biofertilizer. We'd like to thank the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association for organizing Green Energy Doors Open 2021 and celebrating innovations in clean tech. We're honored to be awarded with the Best in Class for carbon capture and storage and be recognized for our contributions to the circular economy. We'd like to congratulate every company who submitted an entry because we're all winners for contributing to a cleaner and greener world for our future generation. I hope you enjoy the short presentation that we put together about our disruptive technology and why we're on the frontier of regenerative agriculture using our clean tech technology. I invite you to reach out to me via LinkedIn or by email if you have any questions. Thank you.
Nurture Growth Biofertilizer envisions a world where farmers and home gardeners can fight climate change and reduce greenhouse gases while growing sustainable foods. 40 years ago, my parents immigrated to Canada and we farmed cucumbers. They face many challenges and now farmers have even more pressures. The population is expected to grow by 25% with 2 billion more mouths to feed. 1/3 of food produced is either lost or wasted, which ends up in landfills and produces methane, a toxic greenhouse gas. Food waste is the third largest contributor of greenhouse gases. Lastly, climate change is threatening crop production, and farmers are asked to produce more with less. What if there was a biological solution that can solve these problems? Nurtured Biofertilizer is an award-winning circular economy company that is stepping up to solve some of the world's biggest problems with the help of the world's smallest organisms. As harmful chemicals are impacting the environment and human health, our solution is to provide growers with a biofertilizer that feeds the soil and replaces synthetic fertilizers. Just think of us as a probiotic for the soil. Our competition focuses on the plant. We leverage biology instead of chemistry, so Nurtured stimulates the soil and the soil feeds the plants. A simple explanation about how we produce our biofertilizer is that we rescue and upcycle food waste from restaurants, supermarkets, and food and beverage manufacturers. The food waste is processed in our biofertilizer machine and feeds the microorganisms in our formula. It goes through several fermentation processes where we can capture the methane gas. A biofertilizer is produced in a liquid concentrated formula, and when mixed with water, the microbes are activated, and that's when the magic happens when applied to plants. We're on the frontier of regenerative farming, and there's more than a decade of science and biology that backs up our fertilizer, and we've been improving our product for 4 years with more than 24 farmers. Farmers are telling us that they've seen improved soil quality and water retention. The crops are resilient to drought, heat, and disease, and they produce higher yields between 10 to 30%. We're disrupting the traditional way of farming by using the science of biomimicry, and our biofertilizer acts as mini fertilizer machines by naturally producing nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium and other nutrients for the plants. We're adding beneficial microbes to the soil, and the microbe balances the soil microbiome and makes the nutrients bioavailable to the plants. We gained tremendous momentum in the past few years, and we're supplying to 10% of the wine industry in Ontario. This year, we ran our pilot in Napa Valley, California. To reach home gardeners, we're selling through Home Depot, Lowe's, Canadian Tire, and Amazon. And since 2019, we won several prestigious awards for our innovation in ag tech, biotech, and clean tech. And this week, we're being presented with the Green Energy Doors Open Award. To top all the exciting news, we're participating in 4 prestigious competitive accelerator programs. And in August, we partnered with the United Nations to participate in their Compact program, where we are meeting their sustainable development goals. They say the proof is in the pudding, and here is a trial that we ran on bok choy. You can see that the roots are longer, there are more root hairs, and the soil is darker, which means that we have healthier soils. On the application of apples, you can see new leaf growth just after 2 applications. Everyone loves tomatoes, and in a trial we ran with SGS Labs, Nurture Growth plot produced 33% more tomatoes. Once again, I'd like to thank the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association for the Green Energy Doors Open Award, and thank you for listening to our story. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or know anyone who wants to trial our biofertilizer. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good. And how do I move the slides along?
You can click on the slide once, and then you should be able to use the arrow keys.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for having me today. Sorry about the technical challenges there. So I'm Thomas Willenbrook. I'm the CEO and founder of Pulse Industrial, and today we're going to be talking about energy efficiency and steam. Oh, okay, there we go. So steam is a technology that goes back to the Industrial Revolution. but it's still widely used today, accounting for a staggering 40% of all fuel spent. Now, this might seem surprising at first, but when you look at industries like chemical manufacturing, power generation, and food and beverage, what they're spending fuel on is making steam to run their processes. Yet there's little technical adoption in this area. So this is something that blew me away when I was taking environmental engineering. So naturally, I thought if we can improve the efficiency of steam, the environmental benefits would be massive. So I took the time to understand how these steam systems work and the problems associated with running steam, and I kept seeing this device here. Oh, too far. This is called the steam trap, and there's nothing fancy about it. It's a simple valve that separates water away from steam, but it's a critical component, and there can be hundreds to even thousands of steam traps in a plant. But the problem is these steam traps are constantly under wear and tear and are very prone to failure. These failures lead to heavy steam leaks, where more natural gas is burned to replace this lost steam. And across a site, these leaks will accumulate, and it can cost millions of dollars every year. And the worst part is these leaks are invisible. Operators don't know where they are or if they're even happening. So when you understand that, our solution is quite intuitive. It's the pulse monitor to make these invisible leaks visible. This goes beside every steam trap to analyze the sound and vibration patterns to detect failures, and it communicates through alerts as a complete hands-free system. Here are some in-field pictures. If you look at some of the photos here, you can see our device, and that little valve next to it is the steam trap. So why would anyone want to buy this? Well, there's a clear ROI on the energy savings. We charge $120 per device per year, and conservatively, a customer will save $240 per year. Typically, there's around 300 units in a plant, so that's $70,000 in energy savings. Now, the product does come with challenges, and one of the biggest challenges with developing a product like this is heavy background noise from other machinery. These environments are extremely loud, and it interferes with the signals we want to read from the steam trap. So when we look at our core IP, our technology is the software and hardware that takes this noisy raw data and determines if the steam trap is working or not. These are complex patterns with complex environments, so we use machine learning to solve it. Our deep learning models were built from 700 sensors and over 1 million data points. So even if you were to replicate our hardware, you wouldn't be able to replicate our product without going through the hard work of collecting this data. In comparison to our competitors, our product has advantages across the board, from everything from installation to battery life, and especially on the detection approach, we have a strong defensible software component to it, and accuracy is very important for customers. On top of that, we have a market advantage since we sell at a lower price. We can target lower pressure steam systems where the ROI just isn't there for our competitors. And furthermore, it's our vision to complete a light version that's affordable enough to service every single steam trap and make the biggest environmental impact possible. So here are some of the customers we're in today. We have about 700 sensors currently deployed, and we're just starting corporate partnerships with some of the largest manufacturers and equipment steam trap manufacturers around the world. So this will accelerate our growth, and we're expecting to sell over 20,000 monitors next year. To date, we've saved customers $130,000 in fuel cost and saved over 1.1 thousand tons of CO2 emissions, and this is just from our first 700 monitors, where the potential worldwide is $53 billion in fuel savings and 230 million tons of CO2 emissions removed. And taking that a step further, at the core of our technology, we have an IoT device that analyzes sound, vibrations, and temperature. And there's a whole sort of applications we could go to next. So these could be pumps, motors, other types of valves. And when we make this transition, it'll be very easy. And finally, on the leadership team, we have myself. I have a background in environmental engineering, electronics, and AI, and it's been my personal vision to bring AI to an industrial problem. There's my business partner, Brian. He's a repeat founder with a successful exit in his last company, so he runs a lot of the operations. Then there's Steve Lindberg on the revenue side, who has 30 years of sales leadership experience. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I hope I've showed you today that STEAM is a huge industry and we're a startup taking it on. Please reach out if you have any more questions. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So, hello, my name is Bedad Barami. I am the founder and CEO of EdgeCom Energy. EdgeCom Energy makes energy management simplified. And we achieve this using software, hardware, and projects that we've installed at various industrial sites throughout Ontario to help customers take advantage of peak management reductions in electricity costs and therefore reducing their carbon emissions. So our approach for energy management is very simple. What we do is we help customers understand, improve, and then control how they consume energy, water, and gas. We also deliver proven energy saving solutions that allow them to then take advantage of opportunities that exist at their site. The project which I'll be discussing today is our blockchain-powered, blockchain-secured battery energy storage system, which is being installed for a customer in Mississauga, Ontario. This system will reduce peak demand charges for electricity, and it will also reduce emissions. The electricity grid in Ontario is relatively clean compared to other jurisdictions. However, because of some nuclear refurbishments and an increase in natural gas consumption during peak electricity use periods, there's a lot of effort and a lot of approach being used to reduce the peaks of electricity consumption. The system that we're installing for this customer will mitigate electricity peaks by charging during the hours, during the nighttime hours where electricity is cleaner, and then discharging during daytime hours where the electricity from the grid is emitting more CO2. So by taking advantage of this program, the business is able to reduce their emissions and reduce their costs significantly. The reason that we're able to provide these solutions more effectively than others in Ontario is that we have an accurate online PTrack portal. Our PTrack portal uses machine learning and 17 different variables to predict when electricity prices are at their highest and also when electricity emissions are at their highest. By taking advantage of our machine learning modules, we're able to better predict when electricity will be dirty or when electricity will be expensive, and dispatch these assets using our network operations center based out of Markham, Ontario. The network operations center needs to communicate with battery energy storage systems that are out in the field. And security is becoming a major concern when it comes to electricity infrastructure. That's why we've used a blockchain-based platform and various nodes throughout Ontario to secure the communication between our network operations center and these battery energy storage systems that will be placed throughout Ontario. Our peak management platform also provides insights and information to customers that lets them know how the asset is being operated and how much emissions and cost savings they're receiving. So the reason EdgeCom Energy's energy storage solutions are better than others is there's 4 reasons for that. We have data science expertise. So whereas a lot of other players in this market are outsourcing their data science and using off-the-shelf peak prediction and analytics providers, EdgeCom Energy has this expertise in-house and the software is owned by us. We also use IoT to monitor and automate the customer's site and the battery energy storage system to make sure that it's achieving its intended mandate. We secure the system using blockchain. So that's very important because security of electricity and generally of infrastructure is becoming a bigger and bigger problem. Various major hacks have happened, and this has shown that our infrastructure needs to be secured. As more battery energy storage systems are deployed throughout the electricity grid, the security will become more and more important as they may become a larger and larger target for hackers. This project also leads to significant savings for the customer, as I mentioned, both in emissions and costs, because Edgecom Energy is vertically integrated, and a lot of the components are used from our in-house expertise as opposed to being outsourced. So what advantages does using a blockchain give us? Well, traditional options and systems leave distributed energy resources vulnerable to attack. So this could affect both the customer that has the system installed and the grid as a whole. The electricity grid as a whole becomes vulnerable to attack. The other part of it is that relying on human operator means your DER deployment is not optimized. So battery energy storage systems that are installed out there might not be dispatched securely because there's human operators involved. By using blockchain and a secure NOC, we're able to not only secure the connection, but also to automate some of these dispatching systems as time goes on. And in the future, we'll be able to automate them. So our network operations center seamlessly integrates into DERs using our software. The system maximizes savings and income using leading peak and price prediction engines. And the secure infrastructure and redundant connectivity powered by blockchain ensures the highest level of security and reliability. Our network operations center has been built from the ground up to control battery energy storage systems and various smart infrastructure. And the blockchain increases the security and the reliability of this platform. The other thing that the blockchain allows us to do is it allows us to streamline participation in energy market programs. So as these market programs become more intelligent and more automated, using blockchain allows us to feed in smart contracts into our devices and have them deployed automatically with edge computing as opposed to being dispatched from a central database. Our assets are then able to be deployed automatically, securely, and remotely. All of the facility data and all of the battery energy storage system data is also displayed live on our portal, which makes it really easy to operate and keep track of consumption. So the current project that we're working on is Lorama. This is a chemical processing plant in Mississauga, Ontario. Edgecom Energy will be installing a 500 kilowatt battery on site to dispatch during electricity and emission peaks. The system will participate in ISO ICI program for peak management and the capacity auction. The system will lead to significant reductions in GHG and cost savings. Thank you very much for having Edgecom Energy as a part of the Green Energy Doors Open 2021. We are honored to receive the award for Most Innovative Energy Storage Project. And we believe that this Lorama project is a starting point for many more blockchain secured battery energy storage systems to come in Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you. This is David Katz. I hope you can hear me as I wait for the slides to come forward. So thanks, OSIA, for providing sustainable environmental solutions with this Green Building Award. I'm actually on the CAGBC conference right now, and they're discussing existing buildings, etc. I'd like to move the slides forward, and I'm clicking on them. Oh, there they are. So Sustainable Environmental Solutions has over 40 years of experience in terms of what magnetite does. We've been around. I was with Ontario Hydro. I've studied the completion of Darlington. I set up my company in 1993 in helping buildings, including selling windtight and other previous window improvements, because without the building envelope improvement, we can't get to net zero buildings, especially existing buildings. So magnetite is, in addition to saving energy, and now it's an operable system, we've even studied the GHGs between making a new window, and shipping it to your building versus using magnetite on a structurally sound existing window. I'm going to show you now some of the what magnetite is, and hopefully the video will work. Can't hear the sound, technical people. Can you correct that?
Today I want to explain to you exactly what magnetite does and how it's going to benefit you in your home. So first of all, what magnetite is a virgin acrylic panel that magnetically seals to the inside of your window. Now what magnetite will do is, first of all, it'll eliminate condensation from your windows. The second thing it will do will be increase the efficiency of your window by more than 3 times its existing efficiency. The third thing it does is blocks out as much as 25 decibels of sound from the outside. The fourth thing that magnetite does is it controls the humidity levels in your existing home so that you have a more healthy humidity level in your home. And lastly, what magnetite does is it also blocks out 99% of the harmful UV light that comes from the outside to the inside of your home, which typically fades your floors, your furniture, your drapery. And if it increases the efficiency of your home, that makes your home more valuable. Are you backing onto a street that makes a lot of noise, or maybe you're backing onto the railroad tracks, or maybe all the planes are flying right over your house? That's the kind of stuff that's going to keep you up at night, and that's the kind of thing that makes your house worth a lot less. But what if I told you I could shut out all the noise that's happening on the outside? Up to 25 decibels of sound from the outside completely disappearing, so that now you could sleep in comfort. You won't have to hear the dog barking next door. Magnetite insulating panels will solve your sound problem.
Hopefully you can hear me, and I can advance the slides now that are the next slide. Can you advance the slide, please? So basically, magnetite has been shown to improve existing windows. It's part of NRCan's suggestion on interior panels. It's been studied, but what we've done is we've improved it. And the following slides show the different options, and in order for me to present it to the IESO, to the OPA, to the Green On Fund, I had to question magnetite as to what it could do and what CSA tests they have. So I'm going to show you the slide. The key is there's thermography that we can take of a building, and we see that windows are one of the biggest areas of loss. This is the Toronto building, and you can see the thermography. We have all kinds of glass, and glass is where we're losing our energy and also hearing the noise from the screen. We are able to now take drones of the building and do thermography of big buildings in order to see where the leakage is, where the water damage is, and where we can improve the building envelope. We're able to take the data from the drone and model the building and then calculate what the energy savings will be when we improve the building envelope, the windows, the leakage, the insulation as well. This is a study that the US did, 5 cities, on all the various ways of improving existing windows. So this is the energy saving, and I'll just point quickly out that the large blue bar is putting in new high performance windows. And the green bar that is light green is interior panels, and it saves just a little less than a brand new window. However, the cost of a new window in your home is at $30,000 for all your windows, while putting acrylic interior panels is $10,000 or $12,000. So critically, this is the way we can improve existing windows. Another US study that has much of the evaluation of awnings and film, etc., And interior panels, as you see by the dots, are those that save the most, and compared to some that actually lost energy. So if we have an existing window, I'm going to show you the next slide, which will show you the energy saving in a Minnesota building versus a Phoenix building. As you can see, interior panels are saving 61 gigajoules when added to a single glazing. I think we have the one for the double glazing as well, the next slide. So it's very dependent on what your existing window is and what you're adding it to. But clearly, if we can add to our existing windows, then we have an opportunity to get the benefits of magnetite. And I thank OSEA for letting me explain this. I will tell you that Honeywell and the ESCOs are looking at this. Memorial University, Humber College has magnetite on existing windows. For more information, here's my contact information, and I thank OSEA again. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
You can go ahead, Ketan.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Firstly, would like to thank OSEA on behalf of 4 First Nations that have completed community solar projects over the last 3 years, completing this year. So would like to thank OSEA for the award and jump into salient features of each of the communities. Lactamalak First Nation is a formerly off-grid community, roughly an hour and a half west of Thunder Bay, which is now operating completely off the solar system that we installed. So solar and batteries for nighttime operation. Because of the excess of solar relative to the load, there's a couple of buildings missing shown in this photograph. We have excess solar responsible for domestic hot water heat as well. So this community is been off diesel since 2017. This was partially funded by, besides the First Nation that put in the dollars for this project, was also funded by the Small Communities Fund. There was a energy plan that was completed here, which called for such a system. And so there's a community that has actually implemented its community energy plan within a year of the plan. In 2017, this system and community was awarded the Game Changer Award by CanCIA. Next up, I'm trying to flip to the next slide, is Wikwemicong. Give me a second. There we go. There's a slight delay. Quite a significant delay between my flipping of the slide. The second community is Wikwemicong unceded territory on Manitoulin Island, where we installed over 700 kilowatts between the high school, which is a steel roof, a junior school flat roof, as you can see here, arena, brand new roof, steel, band office, which was powered by neighboring buildings, as well as a nursing home, which had a ground installed. So all sorts of solar all over the community, net metering, And again, Wick Wemekong provided the infrastructure financing, supported by the Small Communities Fund. Similar to the other communities, there's a community energy champion who we were working closely with. Big part of community engagement. Members of the community were trained in solar installation, roof mount and ground mount, and were hired to complete the installation. So it's community members that were participating in the installation. Again, following in the footsteps of part of the solar generation part of the community energy plan. There were a number of community information sessions, including updates to chief and council. This project came online in 2019 and has been operational since. I'll wait for the next slide. So there's the arena on the left, 175 kilowatts, the band office, which is being fed by a neighboring row houses, 108 kilowatts, and the high school. Next up is a community called Oneida Nation of the Thames. Oneida Nation of the Thames is about half an hour west of London, Ontario. Similar size project, about just under 650 kilowatts, spread amongst the community center, the Standing Stone School, the Health and Education Center, and the Oneida Senior Citizens residence. What's unique here is one of the buildings has a battery energy storage system backup. There's a carport. So we're looking at different solar innovations that are new in that area. There's a community energy champion in place that work closely with the community. Members of the community were again trained in solar installation and participated, were employed by this project. Very regular chief and council sessions, as well as community sessions. Lots of concerns about fire safety. So there was fire training held as well. The community's gone an extra step. We have a community energy newsletter informing the entire community about what's happening with solar, the savings, again, we have implemented part of the community energy plan. Alongside the development of this project, we also held a education and capacity building project, which is based on a proprietary system to walk the community through, and these are graded. So there's a before and after study being done on community members participating in the development to demonstrate, quantify the learnings out of this project. So it's like, the community members are actually learning by doing. And this funding for this project was, besides Oneida Nation of the Thames, from the Small Communities Fund, as well as ISO, IEP. Projects just gone online, and the community couldn't be happier. There's the ground mount. The ground mount is actually responsible for powering multiple buildings.
Ketan, we will need to move on to the next presentation to keep on schedule.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it greatly. Michael Zambakidis. Oops.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike Zambakidis from Z3 Controls, and I have a fairly lengthy presentation, so please don't mind me as I skip through a lot of the slides. But at Z3 Controls, what we focus on is essentially real-time data for energy and sensors. That's water, gas, electricity data for any type of application in any kind of environment for any kind of market. And that would include industrial, agricultural, commercial, municipal, MERB, critical infrastructure in and around water treatment plants, retail, hospitality, and a lot more. We've done a lot of projects too when the incentives were available around monitoring, targeting, measurement, verification, and retrofit. I think it was in the several hundred that we've done when the programs were available. And essentially what we do, even though we're focused on the data, we do provide the total solutions in and around energy for energy efficiency and for operational efficiency. And we also make the products ourselves too, here in Canada. Everything is Canadian made. Oh yeah, another important point. All of our data that we provide to our clients and to our partners is real-time data. And that can be anything from the utility mains coming into a building, be it gas, water, electricity, and any sub-metered critical, non-critical load, which could be pumps, motors, chillers, compressors, anything to do with the HVAC system, anything to do with production on an industrial plant, and then even outdoor applications as well for oil and natural gas, mining, as well as several different agricultural applications. This is a little spin wheel here of what we offer in-house and what we do with our partners too as well. So first and foremost, we are a hardware company that provides the data, real-time data solutions in and around sub-metering sensors and IoT devices. We do a lot of installation, commissioning, training, and project management on any size project or any type of project. Dashboards and reporting and analysis, we give that part and parcel with all of our products. So anything purchased from us is automatically going to come with dashboards with report. And on the electrical side, we have a thorough analysis suite that's actually built into our meters with no fees, no subscriptions, and it's a fairly robust and granular type of solution. Some of the other areas here, I'm just going to speed through them. It's occupancy and security, water leak and flood detection, some products that we're working on, and then some other areas here that we work with our partners. These are the two main devices that we work with. On the left-hand side here is our product called the NetMeter 3P. This will monitor any large load, anything up to about 600 volts or below. And then on the right here is our Omni device. This will monitor any sensor essentially that's out there on the market. The majority being temperature, flow, level, pressure, anything like that. But we can get a lot granular too as well for calibration, vibration type sensors on motor analysis and motor diagnostic type solutions, as well as outdoor applications too, for any kind of soil monitoring devices. So soil moisture, salinity, anything like that, it can be monitored with this device. This is a little overview of how our system works. It's fairly simple and it's interoperable. Any of our devices have an open API, so they can work standalone or be used with another larger, say, AI or machine learning platform that can do whatever it may be, demand response, the peak demand management, global adjustment, anything like that, or any kind of large portfolio type of analysis. But internally, it's a fairly robust system that can do a lot of energy monitoring and management information type system solutions. Again, just a little point. Now here's an example of the dashboards that we have. These are all embedded onto our devices, both for electrical, water, gas, steam, resources and energy, and any type of sensors. This is the granular layout of how it would look. So it gives a lot of our clients and our partners a fairly easy solution to monitoring, to managing any form of energy and any kind of sensor too as well that's out there in the market that they require. And as I'm skipping through this, I'm going to put my information in the chat box when I'm done the presentation. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I can send this to them because it's a fairly lengthy presentation. This is one of our examples that we've done on a net zero water, net positive electricity building, and it was for the Living Building Challenge for one of our large clients, York Region. And at the time, it was one of the only 8 in the world. And they sourced us for LEED Platinum accreditation on the Advanced System Monitoring and Metering Solutions vendor. I think that's it. I think I'm out of time. I'll put my information in the chat box, everyone, and thank you very much for this.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. It's really an honor to be among such incredible organizations doing such inspiring work, many of whom I know. It's nice to see some familiar faces and connect with some new ones today. I'm with Van City Community Investment Bank. We are Canada's only Schedule I bank that's dedicated to providing financing only to organizations that are having positive social or environmental impacts in the communities they serve. And we do that across commercial real estate, business lending, and clean energy infrastructure. I'm going to talk about two of our initiatives and programs today, our commercial solar financing program and one of our geothermal financing projects. Our commercial solar equipment loan or equipment financing program is really designed to solve a gap or a missing link within the market for commercial solar. What we've found and heard from many solar installers is they'll get to the end of their sales process with a commercial client to install rooftop solar or ground mount solar. And then the client has to go and find the financing, and it results in a clunky, slow process that has been thwarting the adoption of solar at the commercial level. So what we have done is actually created a partner program where we partner directly with the solar installers to integrate our financing process within their sales process, which not only creates a faster, more streamlined process, accelerating the adoption of solar, but it is really creating a dedicated commercial solar financing product that is easier for building owners to understand and which aligns better with the characteristics of solar, where traditionally it would be put under shorter term business loans. So we can do this financing for between $500 and $10 million in project size, providing up to 90% of the project's capital cost with competitive rates depending on the counterparty's credit quality, and can provide fixed interest rates for 5 years and amortizations of up to 10 years. This, to be clear, is a program designed to complement our existing project finance program, where we can do financing for $3 million to $50 million for projects that are owned by solar developers. So in this case, this commercial solar program is really so that building owners can own the solar themselves and use it for net metering and other self-consumption programs. To date, so this is just a sample list. To date, we have over 25 solar companies from across the country who have signed up as our partners. This is just a sample of 20, and we have more coming on board every week, it seems. And what I love to see here is we've got representation from pretty much right across the country, both large and small solar companies. To learn more, you can go to vancitycommunityinvestmentbank.ca, and you can find our commercial solar financing program information there. The second project is geothermal financing. So similarly, we've identified a gap in the market where we understand that geothermal technology for heating and cooling our buildings is commercially proven. The gap has been a specialized financing that allows project developers to install these systems as a energy as a service model. So we did here with Forum Equity Partners and Subterra Renewables is established a construction financing facility for multiple geothermal district energy systems across the GTA. The first 4 projects are already going to be reducing CO2 emissions by 784 tons per year. And I won't go to the details of the chart here, but it just shows the comparison of a conventional HVAC and the geo exchange system. But the Coles notes are the highlight, of course, being that you're increasing your electricity consumption, but zeroing out your natural gas consumption. What we find exciting about this initiative is that financing as a third party for companies like Subterra and Forum allows them to go to building developers, to property developers, and offer geothermal as a separate package solution, which makes it much easier for a building owner to focus on what they're best at, which is constructing the building and not having to worry about learning the geothermal business themselves. And again, similar to our solar program, this is really designed to accelerate the adoption of what we believe to be a really important piece of our journey to net zero. I will leave it there. Again, thank you so much for including us in this amazing group of companies and organizations. Please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to explore these or other financing solutions, and you can learn more about us at vancitycommunityinvestmentbank.ca. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us in this year's OSEA's 11th Annual Green Energy Open Doors Award. My name is Emil, CEO and co-founder here at IRIS. IRIS is a smart cities data platform company. We help cities monitor and maintain public infrastructure intelligently and sustainably. Oops, just this real quick. In fact, what makes us unique is that the patented technology has application across a number of industries, but we are focused on the immediate term with resilient infrastructure and smart, sustainable cities. The challenge is clear. Current data collection processes are slow, expensive, and unsustainable. Municipalities are spending millions of taxpayer dollars to manually catalog potholes, cracks, and other road defects. These are actual pictures from one of our clients before we arrived. We call this the wall of dead trees. Globally, municipalities are spending billions to pay for road assessment surveys. This method is expensive and unbelievably slow, as these big trucks need to drive each road manually. Again, and in the process, expending hundreds of thousands of CO2 annually. And the problem is not just with cities. Airports, utilities, rail, manufacturing, and the industry in general are suffering with the lack of easily accessible, affordable, and sustainable data collection and reporting. There has to be a better way. We've commercialized an award-winning AI-enabled plug-and-play IoT camera. We call it Iris Go. And more about our Iris Go device. It's simple to use. There's no buttons, no screens. It's mountain drive with data automatically collected and private information such as faces and plate numbers redacted at source. The Iris Go device is installed on city vehicles, street poles, parks, and other places, automatically collecting and reporting data daily. Here it is installed on City of Hamilton garbage trucks, maximizing the utility of city assets and bringing significant economic, societal, and environmental benefits, including a reduction of 100,000 tons of CO2 annually in North America. The technology uses AI to automatically detect objects of interest and its attributes, including type, material, size, quantity, and other measurements that feed into reporting and analytics dashboards. This automated solution produces significantly better results at a substantially lower cost than current standard processes used by cities today. We're able to detect pavement cracking, roughness index data, pavement condition index data. We're collecting right-of-way data such as hydrants, bus shelters, and signs, all in one pass, 50% cheaper and 100% faster with 0% emissions. All data captured by Iris Go is presented on our data platform, Iris City. Using Iris City, our clients are able to see real-time data that would otherwise take months to collect using the manual process employed by cities today. We're reporting on a wide array of asset classes, gaining significant efficiencies using AI and predictive analytics. So we're breaking down silos with cities, with one department collecting data and multiple departments accessing that data. Here are some metrics. Replacing siloed, highly manual, and GHD extensive data collection practices at cities, we can realize thousands of emission reductions by converting waste trucks as dual service data collection and data reporting system, the first of its kind globally. This white paper was concluded last month with the determination that the Iris solution can reduce emissions expended from road inspections and road surveys by 50 to 75% annually. We also represented Canada and won this year's Global Infrastructure Challenge, hosted by the Italian presidency and supported by G20 member countries, beating out thousands of applications all over the world and propelling our Ontario-made technology, patented technology, towards global commercialization. To recap, we offer these services: right-of-way inventory and assessment, legislative compliance, such as minimum maintenance standards for roadways, and pavement assessments, cheaper, faster, and more sustainable than current practices today. Please take note of our contact details on your screen, and we look forward to hearing from you. Once again, thank you, Osea, for having us this afternoon.
Yes. No, your video. Not video. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association for giving us the opportunity to showcase our technology. My name is Manny Mancini. I'm with TradeWorks Environmental, and we are excited to be the recipient of the Waste to Energy Award. A little bit about our company and what we do is we are an Ontario-based company. Can you please forward the next slide? Great, thank you. We offer sustainable solutions, scalable solutions for industrial and municipal applications for the treatment of organic waste and wastewater, two of the waste-producing practices of society. We leverage biology, we leverage equipment and analytics in order to deal with treatment challenges typically found in these systems. We have a suite of microbial formulations that take different metabolic pathways to degrade and optimize biological systems. We have a platform, the hydro process, that combines these formulations with analytical capabilities designed to systematically target improvements. And finally, we have our Prime Screen, which is our biologically enhanced primary screening or biophysical piece of equipment, which essentially is designed to clean water as good as primary clarifier, skipping a stage if that stage isn't available in treatment facilities, which means that countries that discharge untreated wastewater into our environment without being treated, and that happens in Canada as well, would be a good target for our technology, because we would degrade the waste before discharge, and then our Prime Screen would capture all the things that people normally would flush down the toilet, like wipes, plastics, and all the inorganics that end up into water ecosystems. A little bit about our technology. We have many applications that are benefiting users around the world. We're currently doing things like optimizing sludge lagoons in Hawaii, where we are degrading and optimizing on site as opposed to dredging and hauling, which is typically what is done. We are saving assets and extending the life of treatment facilities that would otherwise be decommissioned. We're also improving composting methods and improving waste to energy, enhancing biogas production. So whether our technology is applied in wastewater or organic waste, the commonality is that we boost and enhance the biological treatment process. Next slide, great. So I wanted to also share a little bit about our innovative method of application. We leverage the collection system in a municipality, for example, to precondition water before its entry into the treatment plant. So the journey of conveyance, through that process, we're able to precondition water, eliminate odors, reduce fats, oil, grease, and then reduce the cost to treat from an energy demand, chemical demand, process demand, and then screen out inorganics that would normally burden the process. Next slide, please. Some of the unique differentiators that our technology has is that every treatment process is unique, and we adapt our solution tailored to the objectives of that facility, and we use data-driven approach, analytics-based, cost-effective alternatives to conventional methods, which are typically build bigger, cost more money, increase footprint, which is not often viable. We leverage the existing footprint and integrate into existing systems. And we have an expert team locally here, but also around the world, that really supports staff, operational staff, to really achieve objectives. A lot of the benefits that we provide compared to conventional treatment process is that we can reduce energy, we can reduce sludge, which is a typical byproduct of the wastewater treatment process, enhance system capacity, and really reduce greenhouse gas emission. In the category of waste to energy, similar to our process, we're able to boost and enhance the biological process squeezing out more gas out of that inorganic, reducing odors, providing a better quality gas, increasing the methane content. So more efficiency at the front of the process means there's less waste downstream of the process, as well as offsetting a lot of the typical byproducts that are found in these systems. And we provide a better return on investment of these systems. I wanted to share a little bit about our work that we're doing around the world in different applications. This is a facility which is a municipal facility. Again, coming in from the collection system, we were able to save this facility from decommissioning and achieve compliance. Even in cold weather climates, our microbes are robust and can achieve the target compliance objectives. But as well, we were able to reduce sludge, but increase the biogas production, which seems counterintuitive, but it speaks to the capability of our microbial formulations. Next slide is indicative of urban sprawl, where communities are bumping up against treatment plants and have problems with odor, and our screens saved a huge expansion requirement. In another project, next slide, please. I know I'm going through a lot, but we have a lot to share in terms of our use cases. So if you can skip to the next slide for me, is the facility where we enhanced the biological treatment process, processing more within the same footprint and reducing odors. This is in a compost facility. And the next slide, please. We are able to calculate and monetize carbon credits as an additional incentive to facilities, whether industrial or municipal, to find a way to measure the results and monetize some of the benefits. And overall, our solutions provide economic, environmental, and social benefits. And the last point that we want to share is we really are passionate and committed to driving sustainability forward. And we have tangible, measurable metrics that show how we can move the global needle of sustainability forward. And these are the list of our favorite numbers, the last one being 17 partnerships, which is what we encourage, and we're very proud, next slide, to be in this category with such incredible circular economy companies. And we look forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much for the recognition, and we look forward to connecting with you.
Am I online?
Yes, you are, Leon.
Excellent. Can I have my presentation, or should I do it from my end? Fantastic. So we are running into the overtime, and so I'm not going to keep everybody back, but I want to thank everybody for their participation. I have the most pleasurable and in some ways the easiest job of the day of saying thank you for coming to Green Energy Doors Open number 11, number 12 next year. Hopefully we'll be in person again. Next slide. Or am I doing that? There we go. So I want to first of all thank our lead sponsors and supporters, Enbridge Gas, Centennial College, and the Accelerator Center. Without these three organizations, we could have not been here today. I want to thank also some of the key participants in today's event, the Honorable Todd Smith, Ontario Minister of Energy. It's the first time we've had a Minister of Energy in a while. I want to thank Jordan Wozniak and the entire team for Centennial College who put all this online today, connected us, and made this all really possible. To Leanne Armstrong from the Accelerator Center, to Professor Tim Doyle, who ably handled the panel discussion, to our board of directors, who quietly behind the scenes has been creating this event and helping to manage it, and the student volunteers, the interns that make it all possible. I wanted to thank all the contestants, and especially the winners, for participating and for their leadership in green energy and in driving the new economy forward. And finally, most of all, you OSEA members and the prospective members who are not yet members, but hopefully will be so soon, for making this possible and for giving a reason for OSEA to exist. I want to thank all the contestants and the winners, including Edgecom, Hydrotech, Iris, Jazz Solar, Magnetite, Future Growth Fertilizer, Pulse International, TradeWorks, Environmental, Vancouver City Investment Bank, and Z3 Controls. You are all amazing companies. You are leading Canada and the world to new green energy standards. And I want to thank you all for your participation and for your presentations on behalf of the members of OSEA. Also, behind the scenes are a lot of our other partners that weren't involved necessarily in this event, but have been new strategic partners for OSEA. That's one of the directions that we've taken the organization, that we've seen that there's a power in partnership, and we've created new formal partnerships with the Government of Canada through the Office of Small Business and Enterprise, with Ontario Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, with the Toronto Board of Trade, with Leighton, which is going to be running a seminar. It's our next major event on November 17th. Leighton is the leader in finding and partnering government resources with the private sector. Magnet Export Business Portal, which is a joint venture of the Government of Canada and the Ontario government, that connects Canadian enterprises with export opportunities, and the Resilient World Institute, which does technical training in the energy field. So here's the big ask. If you're not a member of OSEA, become one. Corporate memberships start at $1,000. There are other higher levels for those that are so inclined, and individuals can join OSEA for just $100. But in the meantime, if you're not even committed to becoming a member, subscribe to the mail list. And if you are a member, please update your member profile so we know more about you. Please attend all of our events and also the events of our partners, and work with our corporate partners. You've heard for some of them, including Vancouver, Van City Investment Bank, but we have more that you could you could access the resources of. We have a number of upcoming events, including later this afternoon. Green Drinks Toronto is having their inaugural event of the new season. So that now that we're networking, there are a number of educational events coming up. We're partners with the Biocon Economy Conference coming up, and there's a series of other training programs that you might want to research. All these are available and visible on our events tab of the OSEA website. Everybody, I'm sure you already know, is on November 20th, the COP26 Global Conference on the Climate Change. It takes place in Glasgow. And for 2 weeks after that, there'll be lots of news about what the globe is doing in terms of climate change. But these are all represent opportunities for our Canadian entrepreneurs, the ones that you've met today, and the other ones that are in the background. As I said, there's an event coming up on November 17th. I want to draw your attention to. Leighton, our new strategic partner, is going to be presenting a session, Lunch and Learn, on government funding for opportunities for small businesses in particular. So if you want to tap into the money that is available from all three levels of government, please join us on November 17th. And finally, because we're in overtime, I just want to say one more set of thank yous. I want to acknowledge the hard work that you've seen already today from Dan Goldberger, our chair, who put most of this event together. Mary Sy, vice chair, who led the process for the selecting of all the winners today, and myself a little bit in the background. We want to hear from you. You have our email addresses, but most importantly, please visit our website. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, And please join, because without you, we aren't just powerful, and we need you as individuals, and we need your companies also. Thank you very much. And for everybody who's been involved, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the board and on behalf of the members of the Ontario Sustainable Energy Association. And have a great afternoon.